Hi, today we're going over the Administrative Dental Assisting book, Chapter 18. And the part of this chapter that we're going over is going on an interview. And page 290 is where we're going to start. So when you go on an interview, the purpose of the interview is to share information. So you need to be prepared to ask and answer questions. They are going to be asking you questions to find out if you're the best fit for the job. And you want to find out if they're the best fit for you as well. You're going to be spending the majority of your waking time there. And you want to know if this is somewhere that you're going to feel comfortable and that it's an office that aligns with your vision and with your morals. So this office is also going to see if you fit in with their team, if you have the skills and the abilities that they're looking for and the attitude that they're looking for. So they're going to be asking you questions to see if you align with their vision. Sometimes the person who's offered the job isn't the best qualified person, but the one that makes the best impression. So the reason for that is that sometimes people are qualified, but their attitude or their vision doesn't align with what is that of the employer. Sometimes they might have the best skills, but they have a bad attitude. Now, if you have certain attitude ingrained in you, it's really hard or sometimes impossible to change that. But if you have a good attitude and an employer can work with that, they can teach the skills that are needed, but they can't teach that attitude and that wholesomeness of what they're looking for. So make sure that you show them the good side of you in the interview. So when you're preparing for the interview, you're going to be asked several questions, so you need to prepare for these questions. They can range from tell me about yourself to do you have any questions for me? So there's sample interview questions and answers on page 291 in your Administrative Dental Assistant book. Please review those questions. You also want to research the company that you're going to be interviewing with. You want to know about the company. You know, how long have they been in business? How many doctors work there? What is their vision or what is their mission statement? What do they stand for? How many patients do they see a day? What type of dentistry are they practicing? Find out as much as you can about the company. Do they have multiple locations? Would they expect you to travel to more than one location? Like if you're applying in one location, do they expect you to go somewhere that's 10 minutes away, or do they expect you to go somewhere that's an hour away on different days of the week? These are things that you would want to know prior to accepting a job with them. During the interview, be prepared to think. Questions are designed to highlight your strengths and assess your ability to respond under pressure. These questions might identify personal work habits and philosophy. So choose things to say things that highlight your accomplishments that make you feel proud. Who has a positive influence on your life and why? Think about what rewards other than money motivate you and why you chose this career. Think about what you have learned from participation in extracurricular activities and how a former employer or teacher would describe you. So make sure that you have your resume with you and that you have copies made. The reason it's important to have copies of the resume is that they may have you interview with more than one person, and it looks very professional and prepared if you have the copies of your resume available for them instead of them needing to go back to the site that you applied on to print off more copies or go into a copy room and run off copies of your resume. So review your portfolio, make sure that you have everything that highlights your accomplishments in your portfolio. Like if you got awards while you were in school, you're going to want to have the awards in there. If you have extra credentials added onto your certificate, you're going to want to have those certificates and credentials in there. Anything that highlights your career, you will want to have it in your portfolio. Prepare the thank you letters ahead of time. Make sure that you send a thank you letter. Thank you letters have gone by the wayside and they really make you stand out. So I would prepare a thank you letter ahead of time and drop it in the mail right after I leave the office, or send an email right after I leave the office for the interview. So you can have it made up, kind of like a pre-made email, or just a little card that you get at the Dollar Tree that you can get like 8 cards for $1.25. And just write a little note. Thank you for your time today. I really appreciated it. I hope that you will consider me for this position. It was so nice meeting you, something like that. And sign it with your name and drop it in the mail. That will make you stand out and make them remember you in a few days when they get it in the mail. You also want to map out the location and figure out how long is it going to take you to get there. So you know it takes about 5 minutes. Drive that at the time that you're going to go, because it might take you 5 minutes to get there at 8 o'clock in the morning. But if your interview is at 1:30, it might take you 10 minutes to get there at 1:30 because of traffic. So you want to map out that time and drive there at the time of your interview so that you know exactly how long it's going to take you to get there, or just allow yourself that extra time so that you know that you're not going to be late to that interview. Make sure that you practice good grooming and hygiene. Shower, brush your teeth, brush your hair, make sure your nails are trimmed and clean. Make sure your clothes are clean and not wrinkled. Go alone and arrive 15 minutes early, no more than 15 minutes early to your interview. So if you have to have someone drive you to your interview, leave them in the parking lot. They are not to come into the interview with you. Do not arrive more than 15 minutes early. If you arrive more than 15 minutes early, you could make the interviewer feel rushed, or make them think that, oh, did they schedule the interview at a wrong time? So you don't want to arrive too early. And remember, the interview starts the minute you pull into the parking lot. So don't go ripping into the parking lot even if you're only 5 minutes early or right on time even. Still pull in like a normal person, because they could be watching and see you ripping into the parking lot like a maniac, and that is not a good look. During the interview, when you come into the office, you're going to want to introduce yourself to the receptionist. Make sure that you don't have anything in your mouth, including gum, and that you didn't smoke prior to the interview. Cigarette smoke lingers and it will stay for a very long time. It is an offensive odor and practitioners don't appreciate it in their office. Introduce yourself to the interviewer and shake their hand with a firm handshake, not an overly firm handshake to where you're crushing their hand, but one that shows that you are confident. Make sure that you're making and maintaining good eye contact to show that you are confident, and be enthusiastic about the interview, but not overly enthusiastic like a high school cheerleader. Demonstrate good mannerisms and posture while you're interviewing, and emphasize your qualities and skills. Don't emphasize qualities and skills that you do not possess, but ones that you do feel strongly about, you should emphasize. And always ask questions. When the interviewer closes their interview, they usually ask if you have any questions for them. Never say no. You should always have at least 2 or 3 questions prepared at the end of the interview. So something like, when should I expect to hear from you? Would be an excellent question. That way, if they say, oh, today is Tuesday, we'll be done interviewing Friday, you know that if you don't hear from them by the following Monday, that is your green light to call them. But if you don't ask, you don't know. So you need to know when it's okay to call them back if you haven't heard back from them. So you can ask that, should I expect to hear from you? You can ask how many positions are available, how long they expect to interview. You don't want to ask things about benefits or pay until you've been offered a position. You don't want to ask about like benefits, meaning like ATO, holiday pay, insurance, anything like that. You don't want to ask any of those questions until you've been offered the position. So you could ask like how many patients they see a day, what the hours are of the office, things like that. But um, you want to show that you're interested in their practice and what they do. So, like I said earlier, remember to send that thank you letter within 24 hours of the interview, and it can be handwritten or typed, or it can be an email. But you want to close that with that thank you letter so that you can be remembered in a few days when they receive it. So that is all that we're going to go over about interviewing. Thank you.